From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Well, good morning and happy Tuesday, security gang. How is everyone doing? I hope your Monday is as smooth as a Tuesday could be. March 28th, 2023, and we've got a packed show this morning. Multiple zero days, multiple stories to keep us all guessing on, well, not guessing, but keep us scrambling, looking for better ways to defend and articulate security programs within our organizations. We'll be talking about all of that on this morning's show. Good morning to everyone tuning in. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. What an amazing group of people that tune in and listen on your favorite podcast listening platform. We passed a significant milestone for the show yesterday on our listening platforms. Over 10,000 downloads per episode, which is unfathomable. I never thought it would get there. I never knew 10,000 people wanted to hear what I had to say. So, and find value in this content, but I'm grateful to everyone that tunes in, subscribes. Please make sure to give us a 5-star rating when you do get the chance, and share and comment below. And like everyone that's commenting this morning, Brent, Chris, Tamika, good morning to everyone that's here. Thank y'all for being here and with us this morning. We'll kick off this morning with our show tradition. My double espresso, whatever you're drinking to power through this morning, coffee cup cheers. We'll start with this no interaction Outlook ZeroDay that Russian APTs have been exploiting since at least April of 2022. The disclosure now ups the stakes for organizations to start hunting for signs of compromise. The vulnerability, tracked as CVE 2023-23397, was flagged in the already exploited category when Microsoft shipped the fix earlier this month, and Microsoft's incident responders have pinned the attacks on Russian government-level attackers targeting organizations in Europe. Microsoft has traced evidence of potential exploitation of this vulnerability back to as early as April of last year. The company said in fresh documentation that provides guidance for investigating attacks linked to the Outlook flaw. Microsoft warned that exploitation of the critical severity bugs leaves very few forensic artifacts to discover in traditional endpoint forensic analysis. They're urging defenders in the targeted sector to use an in-depth, comprehensive threat hunting strategy to ferret out the nation-state hacking teams. Microsoft has pinned the blame on the Russians, obviously, who've been hitting a limited number of organizations and government, transportation, energy, and military sectors across Europe. In a nod to the severity of the issue, the MSRC previously published mitigation guidance and provided a CVE 2023-23397 script to help with the audit and cleanup, and now the company is going further with threat hunting tips and guidance for defenders. Microsoft is noting that the vulnerability triggers a net NTLM version 2 hash leak that has been abused for initial access, credential access, and lateral movement. They've seen cases of also persistence in compromised mailboxes. So there's a few tips here for defenders. 1, review suspicious messages, calendar items, or tasks with reminders that were reported by users. Examine network logging and endpoint logging for evidence of known atomic indicators. Scan Exchange for delivered messages with the PID-lid reminder file parameter set. Hunt for anomalous behavior based on NTLM, WebDAV, SMB client event log entries, and firewall logs for suspicious outbound SMB connections. Microsoft has also shipped a detection script and is urging organizations to review the output of the script to determine whether an exploit was successful. Because the flaw could lead to exploitation before the email is viewed in the preview pane, enterprise security teams are urged to prioritize the deployment of this update. This should be top of mind for all of us this morning in the world of Outlook. Have you done this? And if you haven't patched it, we need to get it done. Apple also fixed a recently disclosed WebKit ZeroDay on older model iPhones. So here's the thing about this one. When you look at iPhone releases, right, we go back 5 years, people would stand and sleep outside of an Apple store to get the latest iPhone. Now we've all realized to just upgrade the camera and OS and a feature or two. So no one loses any sleep over it. We just go to the Apple store and get it. However, you have to view this in the same way I think we all view these 0 days on these devices. All of our employees have work email on their devices. These 0 days, these bugs, these older iPhones that potentially many of our team members have could be used, and that's how they'll get persistence and access into our network. So Apple did release the security update to the backport patches that were released last month. They're addressing an actively exploited 0-day bug for older iPhones and iPads. The vulnerability CVE 2023-23529 is a WebKit type confusion issue that the company fixed on newer iPhones and iPads on February of last month. Potential attackers can use it to trigger OS crashes and gain code execution on compromised iOS and iPadOS devices following successful exploitation. So Apple has addressed the 0-day in iOS 15.7.4 and iPadOS 15.7.4 with improved check. This is available on iPhone 7, iPhone SE, iPad Air 2, iPad Mini, and iPad Touch devices, including all iPhone 6s as well. So this has been patched. Make sure if those devices are in your inventory, they get patched as well. We'll stick with Apple and now a new MacStealer macOS malware stealing iCloud chain and passwords from the chain. The new information stealing malware has set its sight on the Apple macOS operating system to siphon sensitive information. Dubbed MacStealer, it's the latest example of a threat that uses Telegram as a command and control platform to exfiltrate data. It's primarily affecting devices running macOS versions Catalina and later running on M1 and M2 CPUs. That's Microsoft's exclusive CPUs. So they've obviously seen some sort of vulnerability in the M1 and M2 CPUs within these Mac devices, because that's where they're going. They're not going after any of the Intel ones or NVIDIA chips potentially that are available in Mac. The MacStealer has the ability to steal documents, cookies from the victim's browser, and login information. First advertised on the online hacking forum for $100 at the start of the month, it's still a work in progress, with the malware authors planning to add features to capture data from Apple's Safari browser and Notes app. It's in its current form, MacStealer is designed to extract iCloud keychain data, passwords, and credit card information from browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and Brave. It also features support for harvesting Microsoft Office files, images, archives, and Python scripts. The delivery of the malware is still not known, but it does propagate as a DMG file when executed. It opens a fake password prompt to harvest the passwords under the guise of seeking access to system settings. So you can kind of see that there as well. Tesla is waking up after Pontoon in Vancouver had some of the most skilled people in our industry, some ethical researchers, unearthed around 22 0-day bugs in a wide range of technologies, but they were able to hack a Model 3 in less than 2 minutes. Now, I'll premise by saying the following. Kia and Hyundai have been getting hacked in a TikTok challenge since the summer. No one gave a darn. But when it's Tesla, it's headline news, potentially because of who drives a Tesla and then who drives a Hyundai in a Kia. Just saying. Because Hyundai and Kia were getting stolen in the droves, impacting people all over this country with a stupid TikTok challenge, which is another reason why we should ban TikTok. No one talks about it. Here in the Pontoon, a 2-minute attack fetched the researchers a new Tesla 3 and a $100,000 cash reward. The exploit involved executing what's known as a time of check to time of use attack on Tesla's Gateway Energy Management System. They showed how they could then, among other things, open the front trunk or door of a Tesla Model 3 while the car was in motion. The Tesla vulnerabilities were among a total of 22 0-day vulnerabilities that researchers from 10 countries uncovered during the first 2 days of the 3-day Pontoon contest in Vancouver. In the second attempt, Synactive researchers exploited a heap overflow vulnerability and an out-of-bounds writer error in a Bluetooth chipset to break into Tesla's infotainment system, and from there gain root access to other subsystem. The exploit garnered the researchers an even bigger $250,000 bounty and Pontoon's first ever Tier 2 award, a designation of the contest organizers reserved for particularly impactful vulnerabilities and exploits. So all of that there. Additional 0 days just showing you how sensitive and critical our software supply chain really is. GitHub has rotated its RSA SSH private key after it was publicly disclosed. They're saying no information was leaked, but this key was updated. You want to make sure your DevOps team is aware of this, and that if there's any updates on your end, those get done as well. Yesterday, we reported another victim with Procter & Gamble for the Clop ransomware. Well, 130 ransomware victims from Clop, all because of the Fortra GoAnywhere parent company that have been fairly silent and, in fact, been criticized for their silence. They've now come out with a disclosure, essentially giving a little bit more information over what happened there. So there's a new statement from them. They should have known better. I mean, you're in this business. Communication is the number one thing for sure. I recommend you read my Microsoft Doctrine Substack on how Microsoft handled when they were dealing with SolarWinds and Log4j and everything thereafter. All they did was communicate with the victims. All they did was offer assistance. They didn't leave their customers and their users on their own, and that should be in everyone's playbook. Communication, transparency, write out as much information as you can possibly share without compromising the forensic investigation and law enforcement who are helping. But communication is critical in our industry, and Fortra, unfortunately, has failed at that with this specific vulnerability. I'm sure we'll be seeing a whole lot more breaches reported. 130 victims as of right now. I think only 7 have come forward, so 123 to go. We'll see the impact there. Our final story of the day is something very interesting. So we've got 6 branches of government, of military today, and some experts are calling for a 7th branch just for cyber. They're saying that the disjointed cyber command, where you've got Army, Navy, and Air Force all with their own cyber command. DoD's got some cyber command activities as well. NSA's got cyber. FBI's got cyber. Secret Service has cyber. CISA has cyber. TSA's got cyber. I can keep going. I think who else has cyber? DOE's got cyber. And what a memorandum on March 26th called for to establish a U.S. cyber force, essentially unifying all of those separate cyber forces in one command. Now, ideally, it's a good approach if you've got a team that understands how to defend Navy ships, how to defend Air Force bases, how to defend planes, how to defend critical infrastructure, and so forth. And I think that's doable. Our military has very, very capable folks in it. In 2019, under then President Trump and Vice President Pence, Cyberforce was established. And Cyberforce had a lot of support also on the Hill and also in the White House. And so it was pretty easy to get that funded. According to this article from The Record, there's no rush from the current administration or the Congress to establish another military force calling U.S. Cyber Force. So we'll see how that actually works. If that becomes, what's your opinion on this? I'm kind of torn. I kind of want to reduce federal spending, but I also don't want everyone spending. I don't want $5 going 5 different ways. I'd rather $5 go to one cyber unit that's able to maximize those $5 to get the most out of it. So I really, really do believe that this might be a good idea. I haven't studied this in depth to give y'all any sort of valuable opinion on the matter outside of a personal one. But nonetheless, I feel like we're disjointed in cyber now. Kind of feels like, and I don't say this lightheartedly, right? Kind of pre 9/11 in the Intel community where everyone was kind of disjointed, doing their own thing, very little coordination. I'm hoping we get we get in gear and are able to address that before something severe or horrible happens, in our country. And so if this brings it all together, I'm all for it. I think that's probably a better spend of taxpayer dollars, is orchestrating and centralizing all of our cyber under U.S. Cyber Force. It'd also probably be easier to attract people to join the military at that point when they know they don't even have to go to the Air Force or the Marine Corps or Army's cyber boot camp. I'm sure would still have some PT, but maybe not the same PT requirements of those being deployed to combat. So just saying that as well. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, right here live. Check out the latest CISO Talk podcast dropping today, and I forgot to mention this early on the show. Don Pekka, the CISO over at FNTS, will be joining me. We're going to be talking about mental health and cyber, how he's working with his teams, how he's developing them, how he's dealing with the stress of the job, and so much more. A great conversation with Don Pekka. He's always a great guest to have on the podcast. So go check that out. Airs at 1 p.m. Eastern today on your favorite podcast listening platform. And also the video will air live right here on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Twitch. Go check it out there. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.